Our third and final sonnet that we're going to look at before we jump into the plays. Probably the toughest of the three, and another one of my favorite sonnets, Sonnet 116. So there's Sonnet 30 with the video, 73. Here's 116. I have the notes, PDF, regular PDF. And as always, we're going to look at the Word doc. All right. Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark, whose worth unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. All right, so we got a difficult sonnet here. Let's break it up. I think this makes it easier, like we've been doing, into the three quatrains and the final couplet here. Sonnet 116 takes as its main theme love. Well, they're all love sonnets, but 116 is looking specifically at quote unquote true love. This is a slippery, difficult, beguiling sonnet. But isn't love difficult, slippery, and beguiling? You know, if we were meeting in person, I'd have all of us define love. What's your definition of love? It's difficult to define, right? Is it a strong feeling towards someone else? Well, we can have a strong feeling towards someone else, but that's not love. And there are different types of love as well. There's romantic love. Sometimes we get love and lust confused mightily. Am I right? There's love we feel for a family member is different than we feel for a romantic partner. Similarly, the love we feel for a friend or a friend, it's just there's these different degrees. And think of how love changes over time, right? When you're with a romantic partner, what are the first 6 months like? The first few weeks. And then think of when you're with someone for years. It just changes. Love changes. It alters. This sonnet, like love, in many ways is inexhaustible. According to Helen Vendler, most readings center around the fact that this sonnet reads as a definition of true love. She contends, though, she argues that the sonnet is a refutation or rebuttal, that it's not. The quatrains differ powerfully from one another. Also, she says there are too many no's and nons, nevers, nots for it to seem a serene one. Look at all the not, no, never, all that stuff. Here's Vendler's summary of the sonnet. You would like the marriage of minds to have the same permanence as the sacramental marriage of bodies, but this is unreasonable. There are impediments to such constancy. After all, persons alter, and when one finds alteration, one is himself bound to alter as well. And also people, or some qualities in them, leave, and one's love is bound to remove itself when the qualities of one's lovers remove. I did love you once, but you have altered, and so there is a natural alteration in me. Think of this, right? And we can this is a difficult sign, but we can tie this to our lives. Think of when you're in a relationship with somebody. You love this person, and then it changes. You ever wake up or why am I with this person? I don't feel the same way as I did before. It changes. The speaker says the opening lines here, right? The speaker says the opening lines mimicking his interlocutors, the young man's, his others, iron laws of human intercourse. To find alteration is to alter, which it alters when an alteration finds. The laws read like math. Alter the left side of the equation and you will alter the right side. Remove x from the left and something will vanish from the right. These arguments, however, are quite vague. It is not clear what the young man has in mind, and what the speaker is repeating. So the speaker of the poem is repeating what the young man has said to him. The speaker's first technique has been to replicate the dishonest discourse of his young man by mimicking it, even quoting it. However, the speaker's own denial is unsatisfactory because it simply accepts the terms already established, the terms of love: distant, always moving, always changing, never fixed. The speaker, therefore, moves away from negative refutation of his opponent to a positive refutation couched in new terms. Love does not fall within these grimly calculable materialist laws invoked by the young man. Though it is describable, it is it's you can't estimate it. We can describe love, but we can't encapsulate love, right? We can describe it, but we can't specifically say all that encapsulates. So, right here, these are the laws, the way the speaker is mimicking the young man, and he's like, oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest, is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark, whose worth unknown, although his height be taken. This is, the third quatrain repeats in briefer form the pattern of negative refutation followed by positive assertion. Let's look at this now. This initiates the sense of repetition, but there is much more. The mover, think of this, the remover who bends turns out to be the Grim Reaper, time again, right? Time again. Bends with the remover to remove. It's time with his bending sickle, right? We have the bending sickle. Bends with the remover, the bending sickle here. Time alters. Quatrain 3, line 8, something in fact is removed, something changes. The thing that the young man values is physical beauty. The addressee here. The young man is in thrall to the sensual bloom of youth. Think back to Sonnet 73, the time, youth, how we're young once and that changes. Love becomes then the human endurer. Love is actually endurance. We fall in love with the past and we fall in love with what once was, but love becomes endurance, bearing it out, just as life is lived. Think of this too in romantic relationships, right? We're in the honeymoon phase, we're in the lust phase. When you're with someone for a long time, you see an individual in all their glory and in all their pain, right? You're with the person through the good or the bad. Love ends up being endurance, not fickle. It's not just enthralled to youth and beauty. The couplet is a legal challenge. Think of this, right? The couplet is a legal challenge and last refutation. The young man to the young man. If the speaker is in error, or if the subject of what true love is, then no man is ever loved. No man is ever written, right? We know how we feel. So the young man was trying to tell the speaker what true love is, and he's like, no, if I'm wrong, then no man is ever loved, right? We know how we feel. Love, it is a slippery, it's always changing. There's no direct address, no you, thou, these, there. The sonnet ultimately, though, I argue it avoids either a strict affirmation or complete negation. It's not all great. Think of love in general. There are ups and downs. It goes through these many phases. And I'm going to argue that this poem is not a strict affirmation of love, and it's not a strict negation. It's always slippery. There's no direct address. No you, thou, thine, we, thy, thee. What love is, what love is not. One signifies fixed points, however, we can never touch them. The mark, right? This ever fixed mark. We can signify these points, but we can never get to them. Love is definable, I'm going to argue, and I think what this sonnet ultimately argues, love is definable, it's a paradox here, by its indefinability. Love is describable, it's approachable, but it's also immeasurable. Again, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love when it alters or bends. Oh no. Love's not, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips here's a youth, and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. The bending sickle, the grim reaper, time, death, it's coming for everybody. And what we look like, act like, feel like, who we are at 15, 20, 25, 30, we're different when we're older. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks. Right here, love doesn't change because of this, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If I love you, I love you. Through all the good and bad, through all the changes and ups and downs. So it's an argument to the young man here. And if this be error, and prove me wrong, I've never written, nor no man ever loved. So we have a difficult, beguiling sonnet here. It mirrors and mimics, though, the difficulty of love, right? Think of all our relationships. There are moments of happiness, there are moments of sadness, there are moments of boredom, right? It changes, things change. The way you feel about a person one day may not change, but he's describing that if you're with somebody, and this is how it's going to be, it bears it out. Love is he, the speaker of the poem, describing, speaker of the sonnet, love as bearing it out even to the edge of doom, right? Here is a fascinating sonnet, a slippery sonnet, Sonnet 116, looking at love regarding some of our themes of indecision, right? We have our indecision here, the changing of love, time, back to time, melancholy, how it changes, and what the speaker thinks true love can possibly ultimately encompass.